evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, your host for the program this evening. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you in studio, online, virtual, and even those of you who are logging on to now Channel 102 on the Amplian Network. It's always a pleasure to have all of you viewing with us and carrying the conversation. We do, in fact, look forward to your comments and your general encouragement as we continue to unfold many of the issues that we see taking place in Tobago. And not just in terms of unfolding the issues or discussing the issues, but identifying areas where we can also improve and make things better. We also always seek to give you, the people, a voice in terms of your issues, in terms of the challenges some of you may be having in your respective communities. And as we would have indicated a couple of weeks ago, we are now pushing forward avidly with our community corner, and we welcome suggestions, we welcome photos, we welcome videos for those of you who would seek to send stuff into us. And before I actually get into that announcement, I want to kick it off by reminding persons of the contact number that you can send your information to. And I really want us to lock on to this particular number. The number is 489-7509. That's 489-7509. It's brand new. It's been introduced last week. And this is the Minority Report hotline. And I want to give a bit of explanation. If you are in your community and you realize that you're seeing something taking place that is really affecting the community negatively, bringing a negative impact, whether it's on the young people, the children, seniors, the working class, or even you as a resident, take your phone out, take a photograph, do a short video. You can feel free to put a narration or simply just type in text. And you can send that video, that photograph, that clip via WhatsApp to 489-7509. You do not need to indicate who you are. You don't have to say your name. All you can say is this is in the community of XYZ. We would have seen it quite effective a couple of weeks ago where a concerned resident of Kendall and that area of Argyle and Roxborough, the entire eastern side, Windward, would have highlighted the construction work that had come to an immediate halt at the Kendall swimming pool, the swimming facility. That would have been since last year, and we would have been able to highlight that we are going to be doing the follow-up on it, and again calling on the authorities to address that issue with immediate effect. And this is how we're going to see many of the issues that are popping up in the community being advocated for. So, folks, let me remind you of the contact number, 489-7509. That's 489-7509. And you can send all your relevant information, clips, photos, issues that you are having, either as an individual or from a community standpoint, to that number, and it will be followed up on the Minority Report. For those of you who are watching this program, you can do so on the platform you're using, or you can visit the Tobago Updates website, the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, the Tobago Updates Facebook page, which many of you take the opportunity to because it's a lot user-friendly and gives you the opportunity to share in the comments on the live. Or you can turn to Channel 102, those of you who are subscribed to Amplia, Channel 102, and you can view the program live on the Amplia network. And so we continue to encourage you as you log on to get the word around, to share the live, to call your neighbor, call your relatives, and let them know the Minority Report is now on. And it's a family-friendly program. We always frown on anyone, especially in the comments, who go down the road of making derogatory comments, because we understand that everyone watches the program. Families log on to the program, so we know that children as well are viewing. And so we always try to keep the program in a manner that is going to not set a bad example to the children so that they as well can understand what are the issues that we are facing in Tobago and what may be some of the solutions that can be recommended. So folks, I want to encourage you at this time to share the live, get it around, send it to as many people. We're going to take a short break, and when I get back, I'm going to introduce my guests in studio with us this evening. So stay logged on, stay locked on, and we'll be right back.
Mount Pleasant Credit Union Back to School Loan Promotion. Loans up to 15,000. Requirements: job letter and a payslip no more than 1 month old. Utility bill, copy of book list, salary deduction, 10% down payment. For self-employed persons, evidence of income and expenditure, bank statement, 12 to 18 months. Other supporting document. Promotion ends October 18. Contact us at 639-8375 or 8108 or check us out on www.mpcutobago.com or email us at loan@mpcutobago.com. Mount Pleasant Credit Union's Back to School Loan Promotion.
There's a new date for Tobago Swim Fest, September 17th, 2023. Come and witness the main event, the 4-kilometer swim from Pigeon Point to Buku Point. More than $25,000 in prizes. It's a family affair, so come out from 11 a.m. on the beautiful Buku Beach. There'll be swimming races, sandcastle building, and seafood on sale. Come and enjoy a fun day at the beach. Calling swimmers from Crown Point to Charlottesville. Registration on the day.
But this place is boring enough. We don't even do nothing. Let me go somewhere now.
I really want some new things, yes?
Then look no further. Portmont's the place for you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You can have anything that your heart desires. Take a look for yourselves. A world of endless opportunities. Feeling hungry? Go get something to eat. Books and stationeries, games, and much more. Portmore, the island's beat.
Yes, folks, and we are back in studio. And as I said when we were getting ready to go out, when we get back in, I would introduce my guests in studio, and we will kick the program off. Joining us this evening, we have Minority Leader Assemblyman, Mr. Kelvon Morris, who, I mean, is I think he raring to go, given the topics that we have carded for discussion this evening. Welcome, Kelvon.
Thank you, Marlon. Let me say a special good night to each and every one who has already joined the program and would view the program at some point. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And again, across from him, to his immediate right, and normally seated directly opposite to me, is the co-host on the program, Senator Lawrence Hislop. Welcome again this evening.
Good evening, Marlon. Good evening, Kelvon, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening. It's good to be here once again, it's good to have the minority leader with us.
Yes,
It's
yes.
been a while, man. It's good to have him.
It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
I want us, I mean, we have a very hot topic to kick off with this evening, very, very pressing. But before we do that, I just want to have some comments from you, Kelvin and Lawrence. Yesterday, we had the opening of the Parliament for this term. I know that both of you would have also participated in that. Share your experience with our viewers, how it was and what we should look forward to.
So for me, it was indeed a distinct pleasure to be among those who were able to actually witness the ceremonial of opening and of course witness our president give her maiden speech in the Parliament. And one of the things that stood with me was the president's call for collaboration to treat with the challenges of the nation, one being the very pressing issue of crime. And it also says to me that, as representatives, as members within the legislature, we have a responsibility at all times to put the interests of the people even above our own political interests. And, I found the call refreshing, even the call to ensure that, the steel pan is once and for all given its proper right of place via legislation as the national instrument. One of the disappointment for me, however, was when I noticed a sitting parliamentarian, and that while I found it so disrespectful that on a day where we supposed to, show that statesmanship, that someone would be so disrespectful, would really put a damper on the moment in that way by turning your back. And we all know, when you turn your back while someone is speaking, it is improper to turn your back towards that person. And it seemed to me kind of something that was pre-planned, and it is unfortunate, but I really thought and found the value in what the president had to say in terms of that overall call for collaboration. And it means, therefore, that also should transcend into the Tobago House of Assembly legislature. And we have always taken the posture as a minority in Tobago that we would support whatever is good for Tobago. Yeah. And of course, we will be that voice of advocacy, that strong voice for the voiceless, for those the downtrodden, and those who cannot speak for themselves. And there's naturally things that we believe are not in the best interests of the island.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me as a parliamentarian, it's my second participation in a ceremonial opening of a session, and it was you have all the pomp and all the ceremony, but as the minority leader spoke to what the president said in her maiden speech to joint sitting of the parliament, I think it was informative, it was direct. I love the fact that she spoke to what we do as parliamentarians, and that there is a cynicism about, the public views us in a particular light, but there is significant work that is done by the parliamentarians in this country, and human service. And I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate my 4 new colleagues in the Senate, the four independent senators. We have very young, vibrant Elon Francis, former Calypso monarch, and I think I look forward. I know we have this running conversation that this session is going to be extremely robust. If I should use a more polite word, it will be very robust, because this is really what you will consider delivery year for government, for the government, because this is your year before election. So you're expecting a lot of robust debate. It is, as the minority leader mentioned, it was hard for me. Well, I shouldn't say hard. It was expected that you will see that kind of disrespect from an opposition senator, because sadly we have grown accustomed to that kind of behavior from some of our colleagues opposite. So that wasn't surprising, and it just says where we are going to be heading for this session. But I want to say that on our side, we are led by a very competent leader of government business in Dr. Brown and all those who usually sub in for him. So we will continue to do what we are required to do, what we took an oath to do. And what you can expect is quality, informed contributions from the government side. And we also look to hear what our independent colleagues will contribute. So once again, it was a really good experience for me that we are at a point in our democracy that we can continue to evolve as a people, evolve as a parliament. You'll hear the president call for some additional work to be done within the parliamentary structure. And that says a lot to me as it relates to even the Tobago House of Assembly. That one of the things that we have to bear in mind is that these things are constantly evolving. Parliaments are always evolving because time is changing. Laws evolve because times change. And so I always tell people that a law is a piece of legislation is a living, breathing document. And so it may come to the parliament now, and at that point in time, we may believe that we have everything covered, but you don't, and then you go out again and you have to come back for amendments and that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to the fourth session of the 12th Parliament, looking forward to a robust debate and interesting times ahead.
Well, Lawrence, we here at the minority, from the side of the minority, want to wish you and your colleagues all the very best in this session. We know that you, as the person sitting on the government side, really representing the Tobago interests in the Senate. Yeah. We know you would continue. You've been doing an excellent job, and we know you will continue to make us here proud, you know. One of the other things I remembered and made note of is the fact, and the president would have said that even during her time sitting at that, other jurisprudence would have come to our parliament and we have provided support, technical support to other parliaments, which shows the level of competency that resides in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And as you rightfully said, notwithstanding the cynicism, the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago within the framework of the Commonwealth is regarded highly, and that is something we should be.
And I want to piggyback on that, because I could tell you from the time I set foot in that place, and even before, sometimes you're there and you're taking in the parliamentary channel and you see the level of professionalism. But when you are involved in it on a more intimate level, you get to recognize, hey, we run a professional entity here, man, that rivals. And that is, well, not even, I wouldn't say rival, that is respected. As Kelvin rightly said, that is respected throughout the Commonwealth. Because I've been able to be, we're not going to labor this too long, but I've been able to be involved in two trips abroad, parliamentary trips. And with colleagues, not only parliamentary colleagues, but staff of the parliament. One of those trips, the clerk of the Senate was there with us, Mr. Caesar, and the other one, Ms. Sampson, the clerk of the House. And when you see the level of respect that these two people are given by folks outside of Trinidad and Tobago, who are part of the parliamentary system throughout the Commonwealth, you recognize that the Trinidad and Tobago Parliament, as much as we may get all the licks that all it has been Parliament doing nothing, I could tell you that the level of respect that people have for the Trinidad and Tobago Parliament outside of Trinidad and Tobago is second to none.
And one of the things I really look forward to in terms of this new in terms of the parliament, whereas we normally would see the debates, but I think one of the real key elements of the parliament is the committees. And this. Yeah. And while we speak up to committee, I also, in our Tobago scenario, we have been unable to really get our committees up and running. In fact, I sit as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, and whereas we would have met one time just to formalize the committee, we have not been able to treat with the real meat of the business. Wow. And as you know, the Public Accounts Committee, at least in is the most important committee. Yeah. The committee that is where you get to really
scrutinize your funding and so on, and where money is spent. Yeah.
And as of now, we have been unable to do such, and it is kind of disappointing, especially given the fact that we have the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, which provides support all across the Commonwealth. And here it is that they are willing to provide the support. They are willing to provide the support, but we have not really capitalized on that opportunity from a THA standpoint. So hopefully going forward within this session as well, we would be able to have the expertise,
and that's where and that's where the real work gets done.
Yes,
you see, plenary sittings are you pass your laws and so on, and you have your debates, and but you see your committee stage where you could sit and drill down into issues and items that are truly affecting people, and as Kelvin rightly said, your Public Accounts Committee deals with your spend, where your money is going, and those committees. I remember in one of my last contributions where we were dealing with parliamentary autonomy as a private member's motion, we spoke to the robust nature of the committee stage in the Trinidad and Tobago Parliament, national parliament. And I want to reiterate a point to our viewers, that there is this narrative that is being pushed about Trinidad Parliament. This is the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is who we are as a people. It is what is considered the highest court in the land. It's your lawmaking body. And this is where we are able to treat with issues, drill down into issues. I remember one person said to me, they don't understand why we had to drill down in such a micro level into the THA's accounts. But I'm saying, if you get your annual subvention and your budgetary allocation from the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, then there is no other entity that is more tasked with the responsibility to drill down into your spend as the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. If you do not wish that the committees drill down into your micro on such a micro level, then you should not seek funding. Because the reality is, it is not the government that approves your financial allocation. It is the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago.
Public funds.
It is public
funds.
Yeah.
And so the committees are extremely important in the whole parliamentary structure. I wouldn't say that they are more important, but they play a significant role. And very, very significant.
And what people has to realize as well is not simply to find fault, but it's to really strengthen.
It's to give an account. It's to give an account and strengthen the
accountability.
That's right.
Strengthen systems to improve delivery.
That's right.
Ultimately to the people.
So I'm glad that you all would have taken the time to really explain that to the public, because a lot of the times you hear people ask questions, they're wasting time, this ceremony and this 3 and 4 hours and what is for. Because people don't understand the role that it plays in terms of the start of the term and what ensues after that. So I really, really thank you all for those explanations and that insight. And I trust that as we see Parliament unfolding, I don't know how often Lawrence is going to be available with us. I know he would have said when the term restarts, and he already saying it's going to be robust.
I can tell you, Mr. David, that I expect that we are going to have a lot of sit-ins this session. So I may not be here as often as I would like, because I know we are going to have, because you know, this is the fourth session. So this is your penultimate session. And the government has to try and push through as much of its legislative agenda as it can before the next general election. And so I know we are going to be, it's my fourth session, but based on what colleagues have shared with me, we are going to be in for some long days and very frequent sittings.
Thanks for explaining that. I wanted our viewers to know why it is you would be here.
Yeah, because I know more than likely the next big sit-in will be budget. And then after that, I can tell you once budget is passed,
work
again.
Yeah. Well, work starts with the budget.
Yeah. So, folks, we want to shift gear a bit, and we are well into our program now, and as usual, persons often expect that the issues of the day that are unfolding, that we ventilate it here on the program as well. And though we had in mind one particular discussion to bring it up later in the program, but because of the urgency and the numerous calls that have been coming in, we want to look a bit at an incident that took place today with the St. Andrew's School, and expand on that a bit into this entire school repair program that we started looking at last week. I'll ask the director just to cue up the clip first so that people can understand where we're coming from and the context for the discussion. So folks, we would have just seen probably about a minute of that clip. And I mean, Minority Leader, Senator Islop, as from the time I left to come to the studio, my phone was just going off about this. People just calling and calling and calling. This is an incident that occurred today where we saw parents would have been called to collect their children at 11 a.m. at the St. Andrew's School. And when they got there, the reason was that the school has a rat infestation and significant mold buildup. 42 million spent in school repairs last year. This particular school was shut down for most of the final term. Children were sent home because they were treating with this matter. And here it is in the beginning of the second week of school in the new term, and this is a significant term. This is the term that everybody gets promoted and so on. We have in the second week that these children are being sent home for the same reason that the school was shut down last year. And I have it confirmed because people are calling and messaging and giving information that nothing was done in the school to treat with this over the period of time.
Marlon, if what you're saying there has any ounce of truth, that is nothing short of scandalous. That is nothing short of ridiculous. That is nothing short of unacceptable. And you see, one of the challenges I have with this administration, especially this division and its secretary, is that she seems to take absolutely no responsibility for the level of incompetence that seemed to be prevalent in that division. And that is, just as you rightfully said, $42 million was spent in the previous school repair program. I understand over $20 million was spent this year. That is $60 million in the space of 2 school repair programs. And something as treating with mole and rat infestation has been left unresolved to the point that is now creating learning loss for our young students in a school where students would have already had to revert to online for an entire term. Very early in this new term, we have our students, teachers having to walk off because they are frustrated. They cannot work in that kind of environment because at the end of the day, it's people's health, and even the children's health is at risk.
At risk, yeah.
And I'm asking,
very much so.
Where is the care from this secretary? Where is the care from this division? And yet you have this secretary on Facebook asking people to clap she, to give she rounds of applause. Imagine you want rounds of applause and we have schools shutting down, teachers walking off. And this is not the only school where there's problem.
No.
This is not the only school where teachers are on the brink. I got calls too, and there are other schools, secondary schools, Light and Life, still issues down there. You took a whole year to treat with Scarborough Sec, and still we had issues with Scarborough Sec. After it took an entire year to deal with, is the longest school repair program I ever seen in my life, where I had contractors in and on a school, working on a school for an entire school year. And still, just before school was reopened, you had contractors there again, busy up to the midnight before the school. And it's still, there's still issues unresolved. Palliative issues.
Still.
When you walk I remember even Boku government issues.
And what
but
we're
yet
hearing,
you are asking for a round of applause. Round of applause for what? And I know you would chip in, Senator, but I want to remind Tobagonians that this administration, their campaign slogan was, let me fix this. And I'm asking you Tobagonians tonight, what have they really fixed? Especially when we are looking at the school situation, our education system. What have they really fixed in the education? Has our, when you look at the C exam, has there been an improvement?
No.
Have they fixed that?
No.
When you look at the infrastructure of the schools, have there been any fixing of those issues? Clearly not, because you have teachers having to walk off. So even after 2 years of dealing with rat infestation, you still can't fix that.
Can't fix that.
The same people who put on hard hat and pretended
And fix roof.
and fix roof and pretended like they had all the answers. Something as rat infestation and
shut down the
molding,
school at term to deal with that.
right? Where you shut down the school, up to now you can't fix that. And this secretary asking we to give she a round of applause. Round of applause for our children can be able to learn. First 2 weeks of school, school had a shutdown.
No, well, the thing about it is that governance is you have a responsibility when you're in governance, and your responsibility is to govern. It is easy to be in opposition. No offense to my minority leader, right? No offense to my minority leader. But it is easy to be in opposition because it is easy to identify problems. Anybody could see a problem. You know?
Yeah.
But when you are given the reins of power, when it is within your
Remit.
authority and remit to remedy issues, that's where the rubber meets the road. You know? Everybody could talk, you know.
Yes.
But you can find fault. The best coach Kelvin is a footballer.
Yeah.
The best player and the best coach is spectator. But why he pass the ball there? Best coach, best spectator is the footballer.
Yeah.
You put that same man on a football field, and he don't know. He had 2 left foot. If you put that same man on the football field, you know. You see, you came into a situation, this administration came into a situation where you have very little physical infrastructure to do.
Yep.
We deal with education, right?
Yeah.
You have very little. You have little schools to build. You have little major infrastructure to deal with. You came in and you met schools built.
Yep.
Correct.
You are just responsible for
Maintenance.
You're telling me you can't get rid of some rat?
Yeah.
And
Rent
remember,
to kill still. Sorry, let me not advertise free advertising. But there are still pest control companies in this on this island.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I understand how much of a nuisance a rodent problem could be. But there are still pest control companies on this island. Calling somebody to get rid of your whole August holiday. Why should I at the second? When we even deal with the term,
last term,
you have a whole school holiday.
Yeah.
And people may say to me, well, you know about education. Listen, I have no qualms in boasting about my background in education. I was never a teacher, right? But I know it has some people on this island could speak to who my mother is. 37 years in education and the majority of that was in an administrative capacity as principal. To this day, she's 70 years old and still running her school. Still running her private. Sorry, mommy, I'm not advertising.
I know what to say.
But she's still running her private school. I have a brother who is the most successful principal of the CUC secondary school in Trinidad. Has turned around CUC secondary to one of the most successful in the country. I have a brother as well who was a principal of 2 schools in the US. Uncles, aunts, my father as well taught at Scarborough Sec. So when you're talking about education, I may not be an educator in the sense of my profession, but I grew up around what it is to be an effective teacher and an effective manager of an education system. What we have here now is people who fail it.
Yeah.
And if you are to give the Secretary of Education a grade as a teacher and now as the administrator of the education system in Tobago, as the Secretary of Education, you got F.
You still give her F.
No, I'll get.
I was going with ungraded.
Well, no, I wouldn't go as far as saying ungraded.
Yes, of course.
Because
So
there
no
is
man.
always room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly.
We sorry, I don't want to sound too mischievous, but we may have to send out to some remedial classes right now for Secretary of Education.
And don't forget, last week, former Infrastructure Secretary, Kwesi Devines, would have explained on the program, on the live, that the school repair programs system was already in place. It was just to continue managing
but
that system.
you see, when you come in with an agenda,
yes,
and your agenda is to remove everything that is not you.
Yeah.
What we have gotten on the island is that we're going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. If something is functioning, work with it. Now, if you want to improve on it, fine. But don't scrap it.
Yeah.
You're so correct, because as Marilyn rightfully pointed out, the school repair program was one of those real model
effective.
And it got even better on as you know,
time.
Governance.
Yes,
with
over
time
time.
it got better and better, to the point where even when it comes to payment, I have contractors who are telling me they have not been fully paid from the last
term.
Yeah, from the last term. And
42 million.
I'm sure contractors could attest that within the recent times, by October, they do their school repair in July, August. And by October, every contractor was paid in full. And there was no issues.
Yep.
School returned and we went ahead. Of course, we had COVID, and that would have cause some backlog in the school repair program. But going forward, this secretary has had 2 opportunities managing this program, presiding over this program, and it has been absolute chaos, culminating in what we have seen today. It is failure, failure, failure. And when would the chief secretary recognize that this secretary just does not have the capacity to treat with one of our most important sectors, which is the education of young, vulnerable minds? And if they are playing with the minds of our children, what else? If we, as Tobagonians, will we allow them to take the education of our children down to the drain? Because that is eventually, if we are getting all this disruption, all this learning loss, it plays with the mind of the children.
So gentlemen, I am hoping that within very short order, we could have this problem, especially with the St. Andrew's Anglican School, have this problem rectified so that our children could get back to classes. Because I know of 2 students personally at that school who are extremely brilliant, and St. Andrews has been doing
very well.
Has been doing so good over the years, and it is hard for me to know, and I'm speaking directly about these 2 children because I know them personally, to know that there's such a disruption now in their education. That school has been doing really, really well over the last few years. And I'm just hoping that we could get the problem rectified as soon as possible. So that, and this is not about the secretary. This is about children. This is about children. Let's fix it now. Let me fix this school now. So that the children could go back to school now. Please.
Plain and simple.
And Lawrence, as you said, so this isn't no rocket science, you know? This is about rodent eradication and molding.
Rocket science.
This ain't rocket science. And you are telling me this problem now, because even when the school was shut down, it existed even before, and the principal was going back and forth with the division,
trying to have
it sorted. And it was only when it reached a situation of the teachers deciding that they couldn't take it no more, that they decided to take some kind of action. When you believe that, okay, yes, it's been solved, we are back here to square one. And it has to beg the question whether the secretary has any real hold over this division. I really want to know whether she's even on the job or whether she's distracted with all else that is going on.
Kelvin, she keeps making excuses, you know. And
because when you look at the school repair program, when she recognized that there were schools that weren't going to be open, she had the most ridiculous of excuses, not accepting that we started the program too late. Imagine a school repair program. You have all of July, most of August, and you in the last 2 weeks of August, that is when you are busy utilizing a state enterprise that is not properly constituted, because as far as I understand, they didn't even have a proper board in place. So it makes you wonder, what was the procurement process? Who was responsible for effecting the procurement process? Who was responsible for evaluating the bids? And we are going to drill into that, because you started and rushed that program 2 weeks before school had to be reopened. And then you are now coming to blame the OPR and blame Trinidad. Imagine you had the audacity to start to talk about what has happened in Trinidad. We are talking about Tobago. This is Tobago issue. This is our children here in Tobago. We're telling you about Trinidad. And OPR, like if the OPR tell you wasn't to start your school repair program in July.
And Minority Leader, I pulled it up last week, And just to read verbatim for what she would have said, she said, we recognize their concern, but it is imperative to emphasize that incomplete school repairs are not an isolated issue in Tobago. That's callous. This challenge resonates on a national scale, primarily due to delays caused by the migration to the Office of Procurement Regulations Depository. That is totally untrue. That's absolute nonsense.
Absolute hogwash.
Yes. This, and let me just continue this part. Despite also facing financial constraints as we approach the end of the fiscal 2023. What financial constraints is she speaking about here that the division is facing?
And you know, I want to dispel this nonsense that this administration is being bandying around on the ground. They're not coming in the public and say, because they know it's an absolute untruth that they are not received or the central government is starving them of funds. The facts are, this administration within the last 2 years have received the highest, largest allocation of any Tobago House of Assembly administration in the history of the Tobago House of Assembly. They have received that allocation, the highest. That is a fact.
On record.
That's a fact. On top of that, they themselves boasted that unlike the most recent PNMTHA administrations, who were getting, because of the challenges with the cash constraints of the country, they were receiving month-to-month allocation. They were getting their allocations in advance, almost to the point that they were getting it in accordance with the law, which says they should get it they should get quarterly disbursements. So it means they are getting their money in block. So there's no challenge when it comes to their allocation.
They're in a better position.
They're in a better position than previous administrations. So I want to put that on record that anything else contrary to this is a big fat lie. And the question we have to start asking ourselves, if she's saying that they really have cash constraints, is where the money gone? What have they done with the fund? That is the question.
How, what quantify it?
Because if she is saying
62 million.
Because
we know they got the money.
How much money they got.
We know they got the money.
$62 million between last and this year. Because she said it. $20 million has been allocated to EID cut to effectively manage the school repair program. So that's 20 plus the 42 from last year. And this is where we are.
So and that is because when you look across the assembly, right, you are hearing people not getting paid, and if they're getting paid, they are getting paid late. You are hearing suppliers of services saying they are being owed money from since way back when. Imagine people are coming to a carnival. Carnival went in October. Carnival is returning in October. And there are people who still are being owed for payment for services delivered in that carnival in October. There are persons who are being owed for carnival in February. There are persons who are being owed for jazz. And if all this is racking up, and we know that they are receiving the funding that is the highest funding the THA has ever received. So they got a reasonable allocation. They are getting the allocation, but they are unable to meet their bills. Then we have to ask ourselves, where has the money gone? And who getting it? Who getting the money?
Exactly.
Because
we don't get value for it.
We have to put that into context that we know a lot of contracts are being awarded in the dead of the night. And it is my understanding that a lot of payments are also being paid in the dead of the night. Because now you see long time.
So true.
Long time to a supplier of service had to come to the division and collect the check. So they have to come and sign. They have to send somebody. So somebody gonna know Lawrence came and collect at $10,000 or whatever. Because it have to go in the book. They have to write the amount and so. But now we have something called ACH.
So they're doing
electronic payments. And so a lot of payments are going to people quietly,
Yes.
But
secretly.
But minority leader is not even. I'm not even going to reach there. We were promised during the campaign that there is going to be a website. Website that any Tobagonian could go on and see who gets any contracts, what is the value for the contracts. This was one of the things we were promised. This was what was promised to Tobago, that there will no longer be any contracts given out in the dead of night.
Yes.
And we don't know who gets any contract. We were promised by the person who is now the deputy chief secretary.
Yes.
That we are going to create a website so that you could go on and see who gets any contract. But where are we now? Where are we now that we don't even know who?
but look,
and you're wanting to blame OPR migration.
Look at this again. Imagine you have people managing our agencies in Tobago and you're hiding the people from we. I know under the PNM, you used to have, every time a board was installed, there would be a press release telling you that a new board has been installed, who are the persons, so you could judge for yourself whether they're competent, who should have got there, who shouldn't have got there, and you have your say. Now this administration has decided, because in the first instance, because they promised so many people so many things, and they started to get licks. When people realize, well, I work hard and you'll ain't get nothing, but this one here getting. They decide to stop tell we who on the board. So right now, for instance, EID cut, we don't even know if they have changed their board. We don't even know if the board term end. We don't even know who manage. Imagine people managing our affairs, and we don't have a clue.
No public
accountability. I asked a question about the board at Studley Park. Everybody know that the THA have one quarry at Studley Park. Yet a public officer in the house pretended that he didn't know what I talking about. He pretended like he don't know that there's a board of the Studley Park quarry. And because I ain't spell out the name and tell him it's this Studley Park Enterprise Limited, he refused not to tell me, but he refused to tell Tobago people, who is this board? When was this board appointed? How was this board appointed? What is the qualifications of some of the people, especially? We don't even know if we have an executive chairman. If we have a chairman, we don't even know what is the position. That is what is passing for governance in Tobago. A lack of transparency, a lack of accountability, secrecy, hiding things. And these are the people who are telling you they would fix your business. They would level with you, as Lauren said. They would get a website where anything you want to know, you could just go up, just Google search, and you're going to know it.
Ping, submit.
Look where we are today. They're running and hiding to tell you.
But who are the contractors that EID cut has on the list?
We don't know yet.
That the secretary said that they have.
We don't know. We are hoping that information will come to light soon. But in all this that is being said, even as Kelvin explained here, if you don't have a plan to govern, then you will obviously try to hide everything you do.
That was the problem from day one.
That was the problem from day one.
But the thing is, people just only hide things when they know they're doing foolishness. If you have nothing to hide, you would lay it out on.
Be transparent.
So when you see people when you see people hiding things, it's because there's more in the mortar than the pestle. And the fact that even in this situation with EID cut, and you don't even know the board. Imagine we have filed 2 FOI, Mr. Hislop. 2 FOIs. And I need, up till last week, after a division told us to come to inspect documents, we went there and they waste time.
No documents?
Documents there, nobody to help to guide the process. So I don't know if they...
No, it's not. That's not wasted. Listen, that's clearly calculated.
You understand me?
That's calculated.
A big man.
So that's calculated.
A big man.
Yes.
To come.
So they can't say they didn't provide the documents.
Okay. You understand the trickery that is being played in this space? You understand the nonsense? So after we wait a whole year,
So
and it's
like,
only when I threaten legal
that's
action.
That's like when a lawyer asks him for disclosure
Yeah.
on evidence. The prosecution might say, "Oh, I will talk about that document."
Yeah.
Go through
Yeah,
to hide the
exactly.
evidence.
But like
Exactly.
you was there. That's
So
exactly
to
what they do.
to frustrate
the process.
and that's what they did.
And so I
So
don't
they-
even
they
know.
supply
I
the
don't even know
documents,
why
or-
they're wasting the time calling the program full disclosure. Now, that should name non-disclosure.
Non-disclosure.
That is what they should name.
That is the name of the program.
Non-disclosure,
Non-disclosure.
because they have
boy.
absolutely no intention
To tell
of
the public
leveling
nothing.
with the people of Tobago.
No, but brothers, at the end of the day, I just want you see the school situation.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to get that fixed.
Yeah,
I-
fix it.
We
And
have to
I
get
am
that
calling,
fixed for the
I am
children's sake.
calling on this chief secretary. You are in charge ultimately, because whereas you have secretaries in division,
sure.
you also was a teacher.
Yeah. Both of them.
Secretary,
Both of them.
You were a teacher.
Secretary
You were
was
a
a
teacher. The secretary
I
was,
know, I know,
the
Yes,
secretary
you know,
was
the
a
assistant
teacher.
secretary.
You know, it's a sad part,
And
brother.
they had the most to say when they
but that's the thing. I could guarantee.
the assistant secretary,
Was a
come on,
teacher
this
too.
man here march all
tutor.
over Tobago. And it shows how people position has changed people. Because
Yes.
this was a man who was a tutor rep.
No position don't change, brother.
Well, true, it just
It
all
just highlights.
amplifies
Position
that
just
and
reveal who you
highlight,
all the time.
reveal.
Position don't change.
But what I'm saying, this is a man that was a champion with what I was telling you all that was.
You can imagine. if-
Come on,
if
man.
That was under a PNM administration, rat infestation in St. Andrews.
No, but
and-
Orlando of all person.
Yes.
Orlando of all person, even let me dismiss because we say she incompetent,
Yeah.
we know she just up for the job. But
Yeah.
Orlando of all
She can't handle
person.
it. But he,
Orlando 2 school repair program where your colleagues have to go into schools that just unfit.
yeah.
People
And
who
you,
led.
people you
As
led
tutor
a
rep.
tutor
Yes.
rep.
I want to
And
hear
you
his
feel
excuse.
comfortable. What you have to say, Orlando, about this?
I want
Are
to
you
hear his
pleased
excuses.
about this, Orlando? Orlando, if this was another administration, would you have accepted this, Orlando?
I don't know. No, he would not have.
No, this thing, and is at the end of the
Yeah,
day, is our
protest already.
children.
Yes.
It's our
In
children
the morning
we're
we'll
talking
have a
about.
protest.
These children, they can't even vote to have a say. These are innocent people. So even if you're failing the big ones, you're failing the children too, boy.
Yeah. And they're upset with the tutor rep now, Braden Roberts, who was on TV6 tonight. They are upset with him
Because what? He
for
talking
ventilating the issues. The same thing that Orlando Cole used to do. He's upset with Braden Roberts now for doing the same thing because he's in the seat now.
No,
But the question is, does he have a voice?
No, but that's what that goes back to the point I made earlier. When you are in opposition, it is easy for you to find the fault.
Yeah.
It is easy for you to see and talk and make noise. And you know, people, Mr. Manning made a statement, and some people take it as arrogance. But the reality is, the PNM is 99.9% prepared to govern.
Correct.
So when the PNM is in opposition and is making noise or highlighting issues, it is because the PNM is prepared to govern when given the opportunity to do so.
Correct.
But when you have a bunch of people making noise and the slogan is just, we will fix it.
Yeah.
But have no plan as to how you're fixing it.
None whatsoever.
Because I don't, you could approach any job if you have no plan on how you are going to treat with the job. When you start it, you are going to fail.
Correct.
If you don't know how you are going to approach it, you are going to fail.
Guys, we want to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to do some drilling down. As the minority leader would have said, tonight we operating like an oil exploration company. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay locked on, and we'll be right back.
ignite your mind, one must attend classes at the Institute of Academic Support, offering a wide range of subjects at the CSEC level and recently introducing Communication Studies, Caribbean Studies, Entrepreneurship, Management of Business at the Cape level. Please see our class schedules. Ask about the lower form subjects, and we hope to hear from you soon.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger. Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
To ignite your mind, one must attend classes at the Institute of Academic Support, offering a wide range of subjects at the CSEC level and recently introducing Communication Studies, Caribbean Studies, Entrepreneurship, Management of Business at the Cape level. Please see our class schedules. Ask about the lower form subjects, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Mount Pleasant Credit Union present the Edgar Davidson Bursary Awards 2023. Awards available are SEA, CSEC, and Cape. Tertiary, technical and vocational. Your requirements are: complete the application form, student's performance report, or transcript. Applicants must be a member or a member whose child wrote an exam in 2023. Forms are available via our website or can be collected at our branch office. For further information, www.mpcutobago.com, marketing at mpcutobago.com, or call us 639-8902 or 8375. Deadlines for submission 15th of September 2023.
Wait, I do even have suit and thing for this wedding. Why getting them thing?
Well, the port my right over there.
Alright, thanks.
The Port Mall, where the varieties are large from your favorite stores, from restaurants to salons and from clothing stores to jewelry stores, located at Sanctus Hill, Scarborough, Tobago. Telephone number is 868-334-6589.
Wow. I didn't expect to see you here. Look good.
Thanks. It's all because of you and Port Mall. But here now I'm going to tell you, you want to join me?
Yeah, that's okay.
Alright.
Beat the rush and come on down to the Port Mall.
And folks, we are back. We want to get right into this next stage and phase of the discussions this evening. A minority leader, you would have started speaking to an issue with respect to the entity vested with the responsibility to carry out the school repair program. We want to touch a bit on that before we move forward to highlight to Tobago yet again what we have seen become the pattern of this administration. So EID cut, tell us a bit about.
So my concern with respect to this, the fact that the school repairs program, as far as I understand, was given to EID cut. I have no issue with EID cut being that agent of state into the Tobago enterprise. So basically project manage, some of our projects, I think that is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
My concern, however, is one of process and whether, first and foremost, I'm concerned whether the EID cut board is properly constituted. As far as I understand, the last chairman had absolutely no involvement in this process of the school repair program. And I'm saying the other issue I have is what was the role of the board? And I would like the EID cut to produce the minutes, at least let us know under what authority did the school repair program proceed, because there has to be a board decision that would confirm that we have gotten this instruction. Of course, who was the committee, the evaluation committee? Was there a technical committee? Or is there some kind of tenders committee? Who are the persons that would have presided, would have evaluated? Who was the committee who were the persons that made up this committee that would have evaluated the bids? What was the procurement process? On top of that, I'm also asking if it's because I understand, here it is, you have members in the PIU of education now sitting on the board. So education would have basically delegated its responsibility. But at the same time, you have persons within the PIU in education now on the board of EID cut treating with this. So it also raises question of conflict of interest and what was their role in the whole process. And so for me, there are more questions than answers. And I would I hope that in the interest of transparency, the relevant minister, I believe this EID cut is under the office of the Secretary of Finance. And I hope in the interest of transparency that all will be brought to bear and we can at least get an appreciation that the process was above board. I'm not accusing anybody of anything at this time, only to ensure that whatever was done can stand scrutiny, is in line with the regulations of the Office of the Procurement Regulator, and that we would have had a process that was not, because I also heard the Deputy Chief Secretary, if I'm not mistaken, indicating that out of expediency, they may have had to basically breach, I'm just rephrasing, some of the normal process, because remember it came down to 2 weeks. And because you now have the rush to try to finish the schools, they probably had to fast track and bypass.
No, but the question I want to ask is if the issue with the school repair project was primarily, the school repair program was primarily because of the migration of contractors to the OPR, how is it that how could you then come and use EID cut to manage the schools? You're saying that EID cut has a cadre of 20 contractors that you could then use for the school repair program. Is it that these 20 contractors were on the same system that you're saying that contractors had a problem migrating to? No, because if you're using, remember we have a pool of contractors in Tobago.
Yes.
And if you're saying that the reason why you couldn't complete the school repair program in time was due to contractors having issues migrating to the OPR system, but you've given EID how much money?
20 million.
20 million in order to effect the school repair project, the school repair program. So is it that EID has a different set of contractors that were already on the system so that you could use them, but you can't use? I'm confused.
Yeah.
You see why I'm confused?
I am equally as confused, and that is why I'm asking the questions. And the questions going to come in different forms because, you know, it is important, you know, governance. Part of good governance is the principles of transparency and accountability.
Right.
And therefore, when it comes to public funds, we must at all times ensure that, you know, whatever is done with public funds can stand scrutiny. And as you're rightfully saying, because the secretary's excuse, we have to really drill down on the excuse. The excuse was basically, I couldn't do these, I wasn't able to do these projects early enough because we had issues with OPR and perhaps we had to, but the OPR registry is a universal registry that is applicable to every. So once you're in the OPR system,
then you're in the system.
Then you're in the system for all of Trinidad and Tobago.
So EID has a different OPR system then.
So the question is therefore whether EID followed
I'm lost
the system that is within the OPR.
So then maybe EID uses contractors from a different place that were able to migrate already to the OPR system, and then the the Division of Education is looking to use another set of contractors that couldn't migrate. So that's why they ended up giving EID cut. But is one set of contractors we have in Tobago.
But question is, didn't the Prime Minister convene or reconvene cabinet to address an issue to put things that are under $1 million
Parliament,
to bring a certain ease and
flow
smooth?
I mean,
no, but it's there, but you still. So yes, Parliament was convened to basically put a limit that anything under $1 million, you're not necessarily required to go through the same
channels,
arduous system of registering the OPR. Yes, but and that's why the excuse not making. That's why the rationale not making sense.
Correct.
Exactly.
And that's why it's not making sense.
And so you're correct, Lauren, because if the justification, and that is what I'm dealing with at this point, if the justification was that you had OPR challenges, so you had to, but wouldn't EID have the same OPR challenges? What makes EID so different?
But that's the point I'm making. It's one batch of contractors you're dealing with.
Contractors.
And if you're dealing with one batch of contractors, everybody's trying to get onto the same OPR system. Right? So your rationale for saying that you couldn't finish the programs or the repairs because contractors couldn't get on the system, but you're giving EID $20 million because they have a batch of contractors that could effect the work.
Yeah.
So is it that they are, and if they're not, then your reason for not completing the work in time is
ludicrous.
Ludicrous.
It's madness.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
And this is just to emphasize that this is a secretary that just does not want to take responsibility and is deflecting, diverting, and all of that. So I would really hope that we can get some clarity on at least what was the process, what was the procedure, and what is the status of this EID board.
And let's
because I mean,
fix
at the
the
end of the year,
school,
let's fix the
man.
schools. Yeah, because we look at as of today St. Andrews, but who is to say based on
next?
the amount?
We have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Who next?
Because whereas teachers, we have to applaud our teachers, because we know some of the conditions that teachers continue to work in, especially in this heat. When you hear some of them telling it in some of the classrooms, it's so hot. Yeah, and the teachers are really going beyond. Yeah. And we know teachers are bearing up because they really care about the children. Learning of the children.
We have plans that require retrofitting, and any school plan going forward has to be a modern design, air conditioned, because the environment now
going through climate change.
Yeah, the climate change issues that we're dealing with now. Because today I walk out. Today I'm going to catch my flight, and I walk out to the tarmac, and I'm looking at one of the agents standing under the wing, and I said, that is enough. She said, no. She said, I need a bubble. Because as I stepped out of the terminal and felt that heat out, I was like, what?
Yeah. It's not easy for the teachers.
So you could imagine
in this
students now in our school environment. We used to be hot in school, and I come out of primary school a long time. We used to be hot in school, much less now. Yeah. So we just had the call is for the issues to be resolved.
Just fix
so the children can get back to school.
Yeah. This road and issue has been going on for too long.
And simple thing like that.
Chief secretary, all they deal with it now. The children, is the children at the end of the day that is really suffering from the incompetence.
Before we close off, we have just about 7 minutes on the card. We want to touch on. We started some conversations today. I know it's along the same line, Senator want to go.
But I waited to see where my host is going.
I think you should allow Senator
because I wanted to touch on something very quickly, and that is. I heard the chief secretary's call that he felt that the president should have that the president should have addressed the autonomy issue. The bills on Tobago's autonomy are in the committee stage of the parliament. You know what is required for the conversation for it to move ahead? I wish the chief secretary could pick up the phone and have a conversation with the prime minister concerning those two bills. Let's have a conversation about those two bills.
Agreed.
Because where we are at in the autonomy discussion, people talking about all kinds of things about autonomy. But you ask people, what is it about for you? And even in the present administration, you're getting different answers from different people. And so for the chief secretary to call on the president to address, he thought she would have addressed the autonomy issue. The autonomy issue has been addressed, is being addressed. The reason why the Tobago House of Assembly is still the Tobago House of Assembly and not yet the Tobago Island government is because of the present administration saying that we don't want
present administration in Tobago.
The present administration in Tobago saying that we don't want those bills. That's why you don't have the guaranteed. They like to talk about, well, we have it already. We do have the guaranteed 6.9. You don't have additional powers. You don't have lawmaking powers, which goes directly to autonomy. You debate bills. You would have debated the bills. You would have become a true legislature. The reason why we are not the Tobago Island government and the chief secretary is still the chief secretary and not the premier. That's another
chief secretary with elevated.
With chief secretary. No, I think the bills have the title as premier. Is it premier?
No, I think one of the recommendations was because we've grown so accustomed to chief secretary.
To leave it as chief secretary. But chief secretary with greater responsibility.
And recognition.
The reason why we're not there is because you when you were in opposition,
and that for me it is
said all manner of things about the bills.
One of disingenuity, deceit, deception, and dishonesty. That call, because the first thing, as you rightfully said, Lawrence, is that the PNM guaranteed in the lower house 21 support for the bill.
Yes.
And the issue arose from because the other side indicated that by Farley's own utterances,
Tobago the Wadi bill.
Tobago the Wadi bill. So it is Farley who killed the bill.
Yes.
Farley killed the bill. Farley killed the bill.
No, well,
and now he's trying to resurrect it.
Well, it's not dead. It's not
No,
dead.
what I'm saying, but kill it in a way. When I say he's the one that gave the opposition
the power
the power
Yep.
to say basically no.
Because you require a constitutional majority.
And now we
don't have it because and you know I want to say this without fear of contradiction. I don't wherever blows people want to give me fine. This gentleman called Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of this country, is willing to give to Tobago more than any other Prime Minister, from Dr. Williams right down to Patrick. Is willing to give to Tobago more than any other Prime Minister has ever wanted to give to Tobago. This man who now sits in the seat, the same person that like to say he's not a Tobagonian. He is very much a Tobagonian, and the Chief Secretary need to understand. Leave the man neighbor string right where it is.
Correct.
Because he's a Tobagonian from Mason Hall who is willing to give more to Tobago than any other Prime Minister before him.
That's a fact.
No, that's a fact. And he's fast and out of place in the first instance.
No respect.
But when you look at the
2 minutes,
hypocrisy
guys,
of this
so
autonomy,
we can wrap up.
Here it is, you have a chief secretary always speaking autonomy when it's convenient for him. But never one day, we have been in the legislature over 18 motions debated. Not one of those
Has he brought
motions
anything on autonomy?
have anything to do
But
with
you, but you stand up in the parliament yesterday.
So in your own legislature, you have not even whispered a word about autonomy. But you are so disappointed. And more than that, where is the autonomy in giving when you had the opportunity to select contractors to do work in Tobago? You chose people outside of Tobago.
Spirit in a way.
Tobago, we don't have the capacity when that was a big fat lie. Look, even security services, where we had Tobago contractors provided, Tobago companies
you went
provided.
Ongoing.
But you want to talk about
all those contracts. And now
away.
it is security companies outside of Tobago that are coming up, getting work,
with
bringing
staff
all kind of miscreants into the space.
Every single company.
But
With
you
staff.
want to talk about autonomy and pretending like you so love Tobago.
Every single company on this island.
What makes Farley believe he loves Tobago more than Orville London?
That has built itself and has been built under a P&M administration.
100% fact.
Because it is about
every single one.
Every single one.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about, you care about Tobago more than Dr. Robbie, more than Kelvon. More than me, big boy, because I'm up here. Madness.
Guys, the director is singing that song in my ear. I don't know why he don't add some music to it. We are not out of words, folks, but we are definitely out of time. And we want to really wrap this up. We've already gone a minute over. I'll allow guys just to make a very short closing statement tonight.
Well, for me, I want to thank each and everyone for logging on tonight. We continue as a minority to bring the issues to you, the issues that we believe are important to you, and we'll continue to lay bare the facts. We'll continue to be very transparent, very open, and we'll continue to advocate on your behalf to ensure that your interest is put first in this space in Tobago. We're going to ensure that your interest is put first, and we're going to continue to expose the various corruption, the mismanagement of those currently administering over Tobago affairs.
Yep. We continue to do the work. I have no shame in saying I'm a member of the People's National Movement. I'm a Tobagonian, and I can do both. And do both very effectively. Be a member of the P&M and be a Tobagonian. And so we will continue to do what we are required to do as both Tobagonians and members of the People's National Movement who have proven time and time again, that we continue to do work for the best interests of the entire nation of Trinidad.
Thank you very much, guys. And folks, we are about to wrap up. You can tune in next week, Tuesday, as we continue these discussions on the Minority Report. Let's not forget to send in your pictures, your videos, and so on. And we're going to all get this done together. We continue to hold this administration to account for what they are doing with the resources of Tobago. Have a wonderful evening. I'm Ireland David saying good night.